Thank you. Okay, we're live here, and we're gonna go live here on here. All right, we're live everywhere now. Live on here, and we're on TikTok. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Welcome in, everybody. We'll give everybody a moment to just kind of come into the room. Gonna have some good topics to talk about today. Actually, today, I don't know if you can see it. You can see it on TikTok, but you probably can't see it up here. But the title that we're going to be talking about is The Great Organizer. What does that mean? The Great Organizer, meaning using meditation as a way to organize your thoughts and organize your train of thinking, right? That's what we're going to get into today. So, welcome in. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here on this journey with me. And thank you for allowing me to be on this journey with you. And I do believe we do better when we grow together. So let's continue to grow with one another. And yeah, we about to pop it off pretty soon. So let's get into it. So I want to see if I can. Nope, leave that one right there. I got some notes I'm gonna pull up over here. I'm just gonna minimize this screen right here. Welcome in. Oh, I forgot I had this one up, so I don't really need this one at all. So I'm in this. There we go. Maybe that was the reason why it wasn't going through, but that's okay. Nonetheless, we're here. We are here. We're showing up today in the best way possible. So, all right. So, what do I mean by that, right? Organization or meditation being the great organizer. Um, so that basically implies that rather than trying to control or suppress your mind or your thoughts through meditation, it's actually bringing more order and structure to your thoughts, your emotions, and your perceptions. So, this is actually utilizing meditation in a way to bring more structure into what it is that you're doing on a daily basis. I know in the beginning stages, it feels chaotic and you just can't seem to sit still, or you may fall asleep, or it just seems unnatural at the beginning. But as you continue to progress through your practice, you will start to recognize a sense of calm, a sense of ease, a sense of peace brewing up within you. And what this does is it allows you to create a space that brings clarity. And throughout that clarity, you get organization because now you're not just thinking all over the place, right? Your thinking has structure to it. Your thinking has, like, okay, more understanding to it, so to speak. So you're not just thinking just random thoughts throughout the day, right? Your thoughts are actually structured and organized in a way that allows you to get things done in a more effective and efficient manner, thus increasing your level of awareness. So now you have more awareness around the things that you're doing on a daily basis, right? So let's just get into it because I do have a couple of step-by-step explanations that I'm gonna get into right now, right? But first, make sure y'all liking the video. Make sure y'all like the live, share the live with somebody, tap the screen if you're on TikTok, and share the live if you're on YouTube. So yeah. Hope everybody's having a blessed day too, by the way. Honestly, I'm gonna tell you where this kind of stemmed from, right? I was sitting in meditation probably a few days ago. Yeah, this was a few days ago. I was sitting in meditation. And as I was sitting, meditating and doing my thing, I felt myself doing something I've never done before. Like internally, I felt myself doing like this, like taking certain thoughts and I'm just putting them in different places, right? I'm just putting them in different places. And I was like, I've never actually done that before. What is this? What is that? What's good? What's good, bro? What is happening? Papa D. What's happening? So yeah, um, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. But yeah, I was just doing something I've never done before. I was just organizing my thoughts in a way that I've never done before. And I was like, this is interesting, right? Because it wasn't like chaotic. I wasn't really thinking all over the place or nothing like that. I was just like centered. I was focused. I was aware. But I've been doing this for quite some time. So it's only natural that that happens. But this was like a new level. This was like a new, different understanding because I was so intentional about each and every thought that I was having. And this thought came about. It's like, this is like organizing. And this is why I call it the great organizer, because once you get to a certain level throughout your practice, you will start to see and recognize where each and every thought belongs in your reality, in your perception, right? And so I have a couple of notes right here. So, the organizer, right? The definition of organizer implies classification, clarification, prioritization, and arrangement. So the thing about, like I said before, it's not about clearing your mind and it's not about like erasing your mind or whatever the case is, right? Or trying to suppress things. It's about putting things in their proper order. And once you start to get really into your practice, you will start to understand that there is a principle to everything, right? You'll start to understand there is a principle and there's an order to everything that you do. And we all naturally follow this order and follow this law, whether we know it or not, right? This is something that is spoken to Kabbalah, if you're aware of them or you're not aware of them, right? So the thing is, right? The thing is that you want to understand is, right? How are my thoughts playing an effect on and impacting my reality, right? How are my thoughts playing and impacting my reality? So the next thing, right? The mind is often chaotic, full of fragmented thoughts, distractions, and reactive emotions. And I explained this in a formula that I coined, the chaser versus the observer. And basically, what happens is when you're in the beginning stages of this process, you're chasing after certain thoughts, right? And you're attaching different emotions to different thoughts. You're attaching different emotions to different thoughts, trying to make sense of, why am I thinking this way? Why is this thought making me feel this way? And you continue on this process of chasing every single thought that you have, and then next thing you know, you find yourself in a place that doesn't necessarily serve you, and you find yourself doing things like, well, how did I get here, right? You find yourself asking yourself, like, why did I get here? How did I get to this point in my life? Because everything that you was doing, you wasn't necessarily aware of it consciously, right? You was aware of it subconsciously, but consciously you weren't really aware of it. But something in you made you pause and reflect on where you are in your life. So that's where the chaos comes from, right? Because you're chasing after everything. Everything is fragmented, right? There are so many distractions that are happening because you're having thoughts that aren't necessarily yours. The thoughts that you're having are just suggestions based on your everyday interaction with social media, with people, with going out, doing your daily or whatever the case is, right? You're being suggested so many different things that when you don't take the time to analyze, right, or organize what it is that is happening within you, it becomes chaotic because it's like you just have this file of stuff and it's just so piled up that you don't know how to make sense of what's yours and what has been given to you, right? Unknowingly. So that's the thing that happens often, right? The mind is often chaotic. And if you don't really take the time to really sit down and create these practices for yourself and really organize the thoughts that you're having on a daily basis, well, this is what you get. You get misalignment, you get misunderstanding, you get misguided because God is always guiding you, right? Always guiding you in every aspect of your life. But the thing that happens is we throw ourselves off track by chasing after things that don't necessarily serve us for the long term, but we chase after things that are temporary. Now, I want to preface by saying that the things that you're chasing, it doesn't mean that you're off track because there's something along that process that you needed in order for you to learn to get you to where it is that you desire to be, because everything serves a purpose. Even when you're feeling lost or stuck or complacent, whatever the case is, it's serving a purpose for you. But you have to have discernment to understand that. But that comes with time. That comes with times, that comes with patience, and that comes with a level of loving yourself and understanding yourself, right? So, meditation serves as the function that arranges these fragments into cohesive, present centered understanding, right? That's what meditation is all about. And let me tell you this too. Meditation isn't necessarily just sitting in one position, right? Or doing some sort of pose or whatever the case is, right? Meditation is simply bringing your awareness to the present moment. That's all it is. So you could be sitting down like how I am right now, wherever you may be, right? You could just be sitting down. But the thing about it is you have to find a place where the distractions are less, right? To the best of your ability. And just bring your awareness to the present moment. That's all meditation is. You don't need to close your eyes, but you do need to focus on something. You need to find your drishti, as they call it in yoga. It's just another word of saying, it's just another way of saying your focus. You need to find a way to focus intentionally, not just like, okay, just looking at something, just staring into blank space, but you really need to be intentional about the things that you're focusing on. And this is what creates that organization. This is what creates that inner calm, that inner peace, that inner understanding. This is what creates that present-centered understanding and cohesiveness throughout all of the fragmentations. And it takes time too. So that's why I say you have to be patient with yourself. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. That's funny. Now it's a person meditating actually. Appreciate you, goals. Hey, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. So yeah, that's what this is all about, right? This is about creating a center, creating a focus for yourself. And the more that you continue to practice this, the more you start to create new focuses for yourself. So that's the whole premise behind all of this, right? That's one of the premises behind this, is to help you create a new center of focus. Because life is always going to give you things. Life is always going to deliver you different things. But you have to be able to focus whenever life is dealing you certain instances or certain experiences, because life is always going to take you off your path just a bit, not to keep you away from what's destined for you, but to remind you of where you're going. So even if you feel like, oh man, this ain't where I'm supposed to be, right? That is just a reminder letting you know that I'm off the path a little bit and I need to get back on it, right? Let us continue. The mind without meditation, right? So let's talk about how the mind operates without these practices in your life, right? Like in an organized room, it's uncluttered, it's hard to move through, and it's overwhelming. Have you ever walked into a house or something and you're just like, yo, what is all of this? Like it just looks bad. It looks crazy. But the person that is in that room, they understand where everything is. So it's kind of like a orderly chaos almost in a sense. But to you, in your mind, you're thinking like, man, this is crazy. Like, yo, I can't operate in this. This is wild. This is wild, right? This is how some people choose to live their lives. So you have to have an understanding that this is not how I want to live my life. I need to get some order in my life, right? I need to get some organization. I need to get some things in perspective. I need to clean up my space so that way I can see what I have, so I can get rid of what doesn't serve me and keep what does, right? So that's the thing about when you don't have these practices in your life, right? You are susceptible to what my dad used to say, life terms, like life on life terms. The thing about living life on life's terms is that sometimes those terms are not in your favor. But if you come to the table with a negotiation, then the terms are more within your favor, right? That's the thing about having meditation, or that's the thing about not having meditation in your life. You're just susceptible to what life offers you. And sometimes life doesn't give you the best options, but that's okay, because life sometimes gives you options that are designed to help you to grow and evolve. But you have to, again, have that discernment to see that. You have to have the discernment to understand that, so you can see past the things that you're going through. because all we can see sometimes is like, dang, I'm going through this thing and it sucks and I don't see no way out, because you're so involved in the problem that you forget that it's a process, right? What else? We react more than we respond, right? We are more reactive than we are responsive. So it's like the world isn't responding to you, it's reacting to you. So if you're feeling chaotic, if you're feeling like, dang, why is this happening to me? That's how the world is going to respond to you. But if you are more responsive in the ways that you're handling yourself in certain situations, then the world is going to bend to your will. It says it in the Bible that your purpose is designed to bend to you, right? Because God bends the purpose in your favor. But you have to understand how to operate your own will in order for your purpose to yield to you, right? You have to understand how to operate your will in order for your purpose to yield to you. So once you start to be more responsive as opposed to reactive, then things start to operate in your favor. But here's the thing about that, right? Everything is all about recalibration. It may not happen next week, next month, next year, but it's going to happen. You have to be able to the recalibrate yourself so that way you can operate on a different frequency. That's what all of this is all about. That's what the things that you're doing is all about. It's not about getting a result. It's about who you're becoming as a result, and therefore operating on a different frequency. Like for instance, for me, right? I feel like I'm starting over from the beginning because I've been doing this right here before, but I'm doing it not from the beginning, but I'm doing it with experience this time. So I'm not just operating, I'm operating from a different level now. So now I show up differently as opposed to how I showed up in previous years. Like those years were just like me feeling out how I was going to do this. And by this, I mean just speaking about meditation, philosophy, and the art of becoming, right? It's changed and it's evolved over time, but these are the basics. These are the basics that I got started with. So when I return to the basics, I'm not starting over from the beginning. I'm starting with a new, renewed sense of understanding because I've gone through certain experiences that have given me more clarity and more understanding and more faith, right? And more courage and more bravery. So now when I come back at it, I'm on another level with it, right? I show up totally different with it now, right? And that's just what it is. That's just what it is. And it's the same thing with you. Like, don't ever quit. I said this in a video, right? Don't give up on the things that you're doing because they are just processes that are teaching you what it is that you need to know in order for you to grow, right? What else? Mental noise clouds inner truth, intuition, and clarity. So again, you have all of these voices, you have all of these thoughts, you have all of these things that are happening in your mind, and you can't really hear the voice of reason within you because you have all of these things telling you what doesn't work or how this going to work and how that's going to work and stuff like that, right? You have all these things that are telling you these falses, these falsitudes, right? They're just telling you lies. They're saying, oh man, that's not gonna work. Or what if this happens? Or what if that happens? What if no one shows up? What if this happens, right? That's what happens when you get in this state, when you don't have a certain foundational grounding principles. Meditation is just a foundational grounding principle. So it doesn't have to necessarily be meditation, but it has to be something that brings you back to your center, to your focus, because there's always going to be noise around you saying like, oh, you see this was happening right now in the world, it's kind of scary. I don't think you want to really do that because you don't know what's going to happen and da, 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 right? So that's just what it is. And you have to understand that that noise that you're hearing, like all this chatter and stuff, again, it's just suggestions. But you have to have a practice in order for you to sit still and get silent with yourself to hear what is supposed to happen. Like this happened yesterday. Something told me like go live on both YouTube and TikTok. And I got suggested this topic of the great organizer. And so I started doing research and I started just kind of coming up with different philosophies about it. And I got my notes here, and here we are now. But that's because I listened to the voice of reason, the voice of understanding, as opposed to the voice of doubt and fear, the voice of what if, the voice of, man, that's never going to work. Nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to listen, right? We tend to have those things that happen to us, and that just keeps us away from what is destined for us. Again, all of this is about recalibration. All of this is about recalibration and coming to a deeper understanding of who you are and whose you are too, if you want to get a little deeper with it, right? So let's talk about what the mind does with meditation, right? Thoughts don't disappear, they find their place. Let that one marinate for a moment. Thoughts don't disappear, they find their place. This is the beautiful thing about what happens when you start to meditate on a consistent basis. Your thoughts don't necessarily just go away. You don't just clear your mind. No, they find their place where they're supposed to be. And they come up as they need to, right? Let me be honest with you. Sometimes having those thoughts of fear and things can be indicators of the direction that you're headed to. Because whenever you are headed towards whenever you're transitioning into something different, whenever you're transitioning into a higher frequency, or you're just going into a different level in your life, sometimes that fear is going to pop up because that new aspect of your life that you're going into is unforeseen, right? It's an aspect of your life that you've never experienced before, but you know that that new aspect of your life is for your development, is for your growth, and is going to help you evolve and become a better version of yourself, right? So you have to use every single aspect of yourself to grow and evolve, even the bad parts, even the dark parts. Everything is designed for your development, for your growth. Even when it don't feel like it, even when it sucks, even when it's like, damn, bro, everything is designed for your development. But that's only if you choose to view it that way. That's only if you choose to view it that way. Everything is designed for your growth, your evolution, your development. If you choose to see it that way, right? So again, your thoughts don't disappear. They find their place. Okay? What else? Unnecessary thoughts become quiet. Shh. Unnecessary thoughts become quiet. All the chatter and chit chat that you hear in your head, bros, it goes away. It's gone. It's like, okay, you hear it, but you don't hear it no more, right? It just goes away. It disappears. Again, it doesn't really disappear, but you understand that it doesn't add any value. Again, that kind of goes back to the organization aspect of it and the suggestions, because certain things that are being suggested to you aren't necessarily your thoughts. Like an advertisement. If you see an advertisement and then all of a sudden you think to yourself, I really want that thing right now. Those are like temporary thoughts that just come and go, right? Those are the ones that disappear, right? But the ones that are designed to stay with you, those are the ones that organize themselves in a way that is conducive to your growth. See? So again, unnecessary thoughts become quiet. Unnecessary thoughts become quiet. You start to actually hear the things that are conducive to your growth, right? You start to hear that gentle whisper. You know, if you're somebody who has a spirit, right? You hear that gentle whisper that's telling you where it is that you need to go to, right? But sometimes it gets overcrowded or overshadowed by all of these thoughts and all of these suggestions on a daily basis. And you think like, oh, this is what I need to do. But really, that's not what you need to do. But sometimes you got to go through that and get it out your system so that way you can come back to the truth of who you really are. What else? Mental space is created, making room for awareness, presence, and intentional thought. So once you get clear, once you clear the unnecessary thoughts in your mind, you create more mental space. And with more mental space comes more awareness, more presence, more intentional thoughts, and more peace of mind too, right? You just feel this level of just peace and just woosah that just comes over you, right? and it feels amazing. You're just like, wow, I'm really at a level of peace. And it doesn't matter where you go, you have this sense of peace and calmness. Like me, honestly, I go certain places where there's like crowds and a lot of people and stuff like that. But I have just such an inner state of just calm and peace that it doesn't matter what's happening right now. I am just so in tune with who I am and so in tune with my environment that I tune out the things that are unnecessary and I can tune into the things that are conducive. I can tune into the things that are important or what I deem important, right? And drown out everything else. And it's such a beautiful place to be because you don't just fall victim to the circumstances of life, right? You become the conductor of life, right? You become the orchestrator of life. You become somebody who can operate life in such a way that everybody kind of sees that. It's kind of like the Matrix, right? With Neo. It's like everybody saw him, but when nobody didn't see him at first. But then all of a sudden everybody could see, like, okay, you're doing something different, right? The system could see him and see how he was operating, right? And it's so awesome. Hey, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining, Gino. Gene Dozo. Thank you. I appreciate you. Yeah, it's so amazing because everybody can see how you're operating. They see like, yo, you operate different. Like they don't know what it is. They can't really explain it, but they just know like you're operating life differently. Everybody else is just NPCs and you're the main character. It's that main character energy that you are exuding. Everywhere you go, it's like, dang, who are you? What do you do? Like you just become so interesting. And honestly, that was something that I always embodied. Like you ever seen those commercials? I think it was Modelo or something like that. You remember the guy? He was like the most interesting man in the world. Growing up, that was who I always wanted to be. I always wanted to be the most interesting man in the world. And so that made me just dive into so many different diverse things, right? I wanted to be so diverse. I wanted to learn different languages. I wanted to have different adventures. I wanted to do so many different things. And I have done so many different things. And it subconsciously makes me just an interesting person, right? Because it's just I could conversate with anybody. I can have a conversation with anybody from any background. It doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. We can have an in-depth conversation. We can talk about whatever, right? Because my mind is so expansive. But that's only because I made mental space. Because when you make mental space, you want to explore. You're like, I got all this mental space. What can I do? Maybe I can go learn a new language. Maybe I can go visit another country. Maybe I can pick up a new hobby. Maybe I can do something that I've always been interested in, but I never thought that I could do it. It opens up your world to so many different avenues and so many different realities. And it creates opportunities for you too. Opportunities that you probably never would have thought were for you. So it's a beautiful thing when you start to really step into this process of meditation or just becoming centered focused or becoming more focused in your life. Moving on. Okay, here's a beautiful thing about it. We're about to get into some alchemy real quick, right? Meditation is mental alchemy, right? Meditation is mental alchemy. Meditation allows you to transmute disorder into harmony, much like alchemy turns base metals into gold. So literally, like I said before, everything that is happening in your life, you are utilizing it for your benefit, for your good. Everything that is happening within you, you are utilizing it for your better benefit. You become the alchemist of your life. You become somebody who is able to transmute any type of energy that you have into something that's better, that's a better benefit for you and for the whole, for everybody around you. You become an alchemist. An alchemist is able to take anything, is able to take anything in its environment, and transmute that into something that benefits not only them, but benefits the whole. But as you begin to grow and evolve, you will start to see the world around you grow and evolve. You will start to see the people that interact with you grow and evolve. And sometimes they don't even recognize that they're evolving, but because your energy and your essence is so just radiant, people have no choice but to evolve around you. And that is the true essence of alchemy, that it creates this field around you that people just have no choice but to evolve. I've seen it happen so many times in my family, with my parents, with my loved ones. Like every time I'm around, things get better. And that's the energy that I embody because I speak that into existence. Anytime somebody gets in my presence, things get better. Life gets better. Everything gets better because that's just how I use my energy. People just want to hang around in my energy sometimes. They just want to hang out. They just want to be like, I don't know why, bro. I just want to be around you, bro. Like you just light up the room everywhere you go. Like you just bring such a good energy everywhere you go. And I just want to be in your presence. No, they don't say that, but like they're the way that they conduct themselves says it all. The way that they conduct themselves says it all, right? Here's another thing too. Meditation restores the natural hierarchy of the mind. Rather than letting fear or ego lead, meditation puts awareness back in command. So, yes, you become the hierarchy. You sit at the top now. You don't just allow your thoughts to go any which way. You don't allow fear to dictate your life. You don't allow ego to lead the way. You become the hierarchy in your life. You are now aware, and that awareness puts you in command. That awareness puts you in command. You are the conductor. You are the author, the architect. You are the one, the orchestrator. You are the one that allows what comes in and what goes out. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing that you become the one that can dictate the outcomes of your life? Isn't it amazing? Wow. And you know what? Your reality starts to shift to that too, because things start to happen. You start to look better. You start to show up better. You start to make more money. It's just everything around you just gets better. And you're just like, wow, how did this even happen? Well, you ask yourself over time, like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. But at the same time, it's like, this was supposed to happen. It's only natural that your life is supposed to get better because you are becoming better as a result, because you are the conductor and you're utilizing the alchemy within you to control your reality, to bend the wheel, right? And to really fulfill your purpose. Let's move on. Let's move on. Hey, by the way, make sure y'all liking the video. Make sure y'all like that. Make sure y'all share this with somebody that may need this information and need this good energy this morning. All right, moving on, moving on. Are you talking about this? Awareness, the one that separates you from mind and body and lets you witness both. Awareness, one that separates you. No, it doesn't really separate you. Awareness brings you into complete totality with who you are and who you've become, right? It actually creates a synchronicity between the mind and the body. It's not necessarily separating yourself, but it's actually bringing the two into harmony. Before you actually start to go on this practice, there is a disconnect. You're not synchronized with your mind and your body. But once you actually start to bring more awareness into yourself, you will start to see the connection between your mind and your body and your heart space. You will start to see the connections that are happening within you. It doesn't really bring any separation. This is somebody that asked a question on YouTube. This doesn't really bring any separation. This actually brings more deeper unity between who you are and what you think, because everything is simultaneous. Nothing happens on its own, because the way that you think is the way that you conduct yourself, right? And the way that you conduct yourself is a direct reflection of the thoughts that you're having, right? The way that you're speaking is going to be a direct reflection in the way that your posture, right? The way that you sit up, the way that you look, all of those things play a factor. All of those things play into each other, right? So there's not really any separation once you start to get started on this process, right? Once you start to get a deeper understanding of yourself, right? Then you create this unity within self. Does that make sense? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. Thank you for that question. That was really good. All right. Moving on. All right. What did I say? Okay, yes. Silence as structure. This is the next part. The silence we access in meditation isn't emptiness. It's the spaciousness that gives shape and structure to the inner experience, right? It's the space and structure that gives space. It's the space and structure. What did I say? It's the spaciousness that gives shape and structure to the inner experience, right? Getting silent is so important. Being silent is so important. You need to give yourself at least, I'll say 5 minutes of silence. And that means no distractions, no technology. Just sit with yourself, right? And see what comes up. You don't need to close your eyes. You don't need to be in a certain position, right? But you need to be able to sit with yourself in silence to really see what comes up for you. And those things that come up for you are awarenesses letting you know where you currently are. Because here's the thing about that. The hardest question to ever answer is, who are you? Because immediately when somebody asks you that question, it snaps you into the present moment. And then immediately your mind tries to attach itself to titles like, who am I? I'm this job, or I'm a father, or I'm a husband, or I'm a business. It tries to attach itself, but really it brings a deeper understanding, a deeper level of awareness as to who am I outside of all of those things. Who am I? That's when the silence comes in. That's when you're able to sit with yourself and really see like, who am I? But most importantly, who have I become? Because most of the times we don't sit down and assess who we've become based on the experiences that we've had. We just keep on going. We just keep on moving. We don't even give a thought to who we are or who we've become as a result of all the experiences that we've had, right? So once you start to create that space, once you start to really get silent, you start to create a new structure for yourself. You start to look at life differently. You start to really be more aware and more perceptive of how others are operating, because you can see like, okay, I can see how they're operating. Okay, I see that, right? Because you've actually observed yourself in silence. So really, silence is not just a structure, but it's a level of observation of self. Because when you're looking outside of yourself, you can't really look within when you're so distracted doing so many different things. But when you actually sit silently, you can actually start to look within and say, okay, I see now. I see how all of this is playing a part. I see how this is happening. I see why this is happening now, right? So you get to answer that question. So next time you find yourself with a few minutes to spare, try to sit in silence and really ask yourself, who am I? And then see what comes up, right? Don't try to force it. Don't try to fight it. Don't try to make sense of it, but really just see it for what it is. When you ask yourself like, who am I? Who have I become? What have all of my experiences taught me? What are some lessons that I can extract right now that can help me move forward? Right? All right, we're almost done. This is the last part. Right? Organization leads to liberation. Liberation from compulsive thinking, old wounds, and unconscious habits. With clarity comes liberation. Everybody, we have a natural desire as human beings to be free. Nobody wants to be enslaved. Nobody wants to feel like their rights is being taken from them. Nobody. Nobody wants to feel oppressed and suppressed. Our natural state of being is liberation. So once you start to get more organized within yourself, within your thoughts, you will start to build more clarity, and that clarity will lead to liberation. The organization builds clarity, and then that clarity leads to liberation. So instead of just thinking compulsively, right, and activating those old wounds within you, and now you're telling yourself like, oh, I can't do it because this happened to me and da 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 da, right? You are actually moving with purpose and moving with intention. And here's another thing it does for you too. All of those unconscious habits that you built over time, they actually start to dissipate. They actually start to dissipate, and now you're replacing those old habits with newer, healthier habits that actually help you along the road. So I'm gonna tell you this: in the beginning, it's going to be hard. I'm not gonna tell you it's gonna be easy, but I'm also not gonna tell you it's impossible, because it's definitely doable. But the thing is, it's you versus you. You are going to come up, you're going to come into a lot of situations where it's you versus you, right? You're going to have to face a lot of the old habits that you once had, that you now have. Because it's like this, this is the you that is already where you are. Maybe it's not where you want to be, but that's just where you are. And this is the new you that has built all of the positive, productive habits, that is living the life that you truly desire. And your job is to create harmony within these two, right? Is to create synchronicity between these two. Because those old habits, they probably served you at some point. They probably helped you to get to where you are right now. And that's cool. But to get to where to get to where you're going, into that next level, you got to let them go. Or you got to integrate them, right? You got to figure out what works, what doesn't work. You got to figure out, okay, what can I do right now to put myself in position to be where it is that I desire to be, right? Organization leads to liberation. So yeah, thank you all for being here today. That was it. That's all I wanted to share with y'all. Much. Oh, is awareness something beyond the mind and body, or a part of them? Awareness is something beyond the mind and body, or no, it's a part of it. They say, what do you think? Is awareness something beyond the mind and body, or a part of them? Awareness is a part. Awareness is, again, awareness is the whole, actually. Awareness is the whole. It's the understanding of what is already there, right? Here's the thing about it, right? And this is a quote that I actually love, and I have it on a t-shirt. The awareness of God, right? We can't attain the awareness of God because we can't attain the presence of God because we are already in the presence of God. What is lacking is awareness. So you can't really attain wholeness because you are already whole within yourself. But the thing that is lacking is awareness. So mind and body are never separate. The thing that is separate from those is just the awareness, right? So awareness is the whole, right? It's a part. Yeah, you can look at it as a part, right? You can look at it as that, because if you're somebody who has never really truly had awareness, then yeah, it can look like a separate aspect of yourself. But awareness is the whole. Awareness is the thing that is missing as a part of the wholeness that is already you. It's just bringing yourself back to what you already are, you see? So your mind and body are one already, but you just lack the awareness to see that. And as you continue to evolve and grow throughout your life, that awareness is different. It becomes different. It evolves every single time. So maybe like as you were a child, you had a different level of awareness, right? And it was unconscious. But as you get older throughout your life, you become more aware of different aspects of yourself. And it comes in parts. Maybe at first you're aware of your body. And then as you continue to grow and evolve, now you become aware of your mind. And then another level, you become aware of both simultaneously, and that creates the synchronicity within you. But again, these things are never separate. They were never separate. The only thing that was lacking was the awareness. So it's not beyond, it is a part of the whole, if that makes sense. Let me know in the comments. But yeah. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you for being on this journey with me, and thank you for allowing me to be on this journey with you. And I truly believe we do better when we grow together. So I want to give y'all something. I want to give you something. So I've been working on this project for quite some time, right? And I call it the guide of awareness, right? The guide of awareness. And basically what this guide does is allows you to tap into your natural state of intelligence, because we all carry a natural state of intelligence, right? But a lot of us aren't necessarily aware of the intelligence types that we have. And so what I've done is I devised a guide that helps you to tap into that and to really live a life of prosperity, a life of peace, a life of joy, right? And I'll give some recommendations in a sec. Yeah, this guide actually helps you to create that awareness and that wholeness within yourself, because a lot of us find ourselves in places that aren't necessarily designed for us, but we do things out of survival and out of scarcity. But if you had a deeper level of awareness and understanding of who you was before, you probably wouldn't be in the position that you currently are. But it's okay. It's okay, right? Because now is the time to change that. Now is the time to really get into Imani, what's happening? What's happening? What's up? I ain't seen you in a while. But now is the time to really get into that mode. Now is the time to really get activated and get an understanding of who you are. So again, I've created this guide. The link is in my description. You can check it out and let me know how this guide has helped you throughout your process, right? I've used this guide and it's helped me to gain a deeper understanding of my intelligence type and the hobbies and careers that are involved around it, which is why I'm showing up how I'm showing up right now, because this is a part of my intelligence type. I have a interpersonal, intrapersonal, and a body kinesthetic. Those are just three. I have a couple more, but those are just the three I'm going to share with you. But those are the ones that allow me to align myself with who I truly am and to help others to do the same thing as well. So if that's somebody, if that's you and you want to gain a higher level of understanding, the link is in the description. And I'll also put it in this when I drop it. But again, the link is in my description. Yeah. And also I created a community as well. It's called Frequency Shifters. It's in my description as well. And there we talk about the same things, but we go a little deeper because it's more personalized and it actually helps you to be more accountable to the person that you're becoming. So if you're somebody who is looking for a new career, you're looking to start a business, and we also help you to utilize the tools that are already available to you. Example, AI, right? AI is a big key factor in our economy now, and it's going to cause a major impact. So we have to be prepared for when this impact happens. And so that community, Frequency Shifters, is where that happens. So again, the link is in the description. You can go and check it out. And book recommendations. I do have one good book that I've actually had two. So I'm reading this book called Your Next Chapter. Y'all can see it right here. Your Next Chapter by Evelyn D. Watson. This book right here is truly amazing. It's truly powerful, right? And I have another book recommendations called The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity. I forget who the let me get it, because I forget who the author is, but The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity by Catherine Ponder. The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity by Catherine Ponder, and Your Next Chapter by Evelyn D. Watson. So those are my to you. Go check them out and go check out all the links in my description as well. Again, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for joining. I'll probably be live again later because I do want to go more in depth with this. And again, let me know what y'all think about this. Let me know what y'all thought about this concept too as well. I'll be coming out with a lot more different concepts and things of that nature. So yeah, definitely. Of course. Thank you. Of course. I hope I was able to help. I hope you was able to get some some guidance and understanding in this. And yeah. So until next time, everybody, peace and progress.